everyone? It's your girl Jossie, aka J Renee, back at it again with another video. Okay, we're back on track. We're back to the sewing tutorials in my new space in Milan. I really just have my room, and so I do everything at this desk. The sewing, my studying, eating sometimes. Like, it's a small space, but we're still gonna get the videos to you because now that TikTok's gone, I need to get back on my ish when it comes to content and everything. And I love YouTube has always been good to me, and I really just need to put in the work so I can get to where I want to be, period. My content will be changing. It's gonna be a mix of both sewing tutorials and like lifestyle. As you can see, I let y'all know like what I'm doing, vlogs, all that good stuff. Okay, so we are making this beautiful hat today. You know I love my bucket hats, and yeah, that's what we're doing today, for real. I mean, it's cute, it's simple, it's real easy, beginner friendly. You can find these patterns just about anywhere online, like free bucket hat patterns. Like, you will find them, promise. Yeah, without further ado, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're back and we're better than ever. Subscribe, like, hit that thumbs up, and comment down below. Ask me how I'm doing. Like, I want to talk to you, okay? Period. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into the video. So we're gonna first start with our fabric. I got this fabric from this one store in Milan that only sells desktop fabrics, and I am using this pattern. It's So Cool. I used a size small and I should have used a medium, but it still fit my head. My head tiny, okay, period. But I have the three pieces: the brim, the top, and the headband part. So ABC, A, top, B, headband, C, brim. That's what I'm going to be using from here on out. So I've already cut out the pattern for you guys before I even started making a video, which is cool, but I'm going to show you how I cut them out already. I am cutting in those little notches where the fabric says to keep the notches. You're going to need it later, trust me. So I'm taking off the pattern now, so you'll see all the pieces I have. I did fold the fabric in half before cutting, and I'm going to show you that with the lining. So before I put anything together, we're going to have our lining. Now this lining is not lining. It's actually like those little blankets that they give you at Delta. So I kept mine, washed it, and reused it. Like, of course, why not? And so we're only going to need A and B, our top and our headband part of this pattern, just for the lining. We only need one of each. We don't need two. I don't know why I folded in half, but I only needed one. And so I pinned those down, and now we're going to cut them out. Take your time. These are the times that I really miss my rotary cutter and my cutting board because, yeah, I just miss it. I mean, I could go get another one, but that's just a lot of things to just buy, and I just don't. No, use what you have. Everybody doesn't have everything, so you're going to make it work. It's just fine. So just cut it out along the sides. I did need to repin or pin some more because the cutting was not as precise as I needed it to be. So I had to repin, add more pins, and then cut it out to make sure that the pattern was nice and perfect. I did not add a seam allowance here because the pattern I think called for a seam allowance, but it is a small hat, so I probably could have added a little seam allowance just to make it a little more loose fitted, but it is a hat, so like you don't want it that loose fitted. So I cut out the notches here, and we are at the sewing machine finally. Take all those pins out and put that pattern to the side. We do not need her anymore. Keep her for safekeeping later. And so these are all of my pieces. So we're going to need one top, one A piece of both the lining and the main fabric. And we're going to need two of the C pieces, which we're going to pin together individually. So you pin one and then you take another one, and you need two of those from the main pieces because that's going to be like your inner lining that you're going to see under the little brim of the hat. This is the brim, and on top as well. And then for the headband, you'll need one of the lining and one of the main pieces, and that's just going to be like a cute little hat on the inside. Basically, you need your main and your lining. So I pin all those together. I fold them in half and pin them on the straight edges because that's literally going to be the circumference of the hat. Okay, so then we're going to start and put together our main piece of the brim and the main piece of our headband. I'm using this white thread. I did start with the lining, but it's the same thing all the way around. Like this It's so easy. It's like a few seams and like that's just about it. And most of them are straight. And so all the places that I pinned are exactly where I'm going to sew. Sew a straight line down all of these. And then remember to cut off your excess trims, your excess threads. It's been a while since I've done a whole long YouTube voiceover. Oh my gosh. Next, we are going to put the headband part and the hat, the A piece together. So I'm first going to match up those notches. Remember those notches that we made? We're going to match up those notches first at the seam with the notch of the round part, and then the smallest area circumference of the headband is going to be matched up with the top circle part of the hat. If that makes sense, I hope it does. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Put those together, pin them at the notches first, and then separate the seam allowance, I guess, accordingly, just to make sure everything is nice flat. So when we take it to the sewing machine, I'm going to sew where I just pinned all the way around. It is a circle. It's just a big circle, but make sure both your under piece and your top piece are going under the sewing machine at the same time so you don't lose either of them. And then when you're finished, just cut off that. Remember to, snip as you go so you don't have a bunch of strings at the end, and you really just have to clean up once at the end, right? This is my reminder to tell you to subscribe if you haven't already, because if you're here for this long, you clearly like my content, so you might as well subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Thank you. Welcome to the winning team. So now we're going to do the same thing with our lining piece. Just pin that all the way around the top edge and sew that all the way around, just like as you see here. Make sure there's no bubbles and make sure everything is flat before it goes under the presser foot and before it goes under the needle or whatever. So here I'm just gonna cut off this excess that we use for our seam allowance because I don't want it to be like really bulky inside of my hat, and the edges just fray, so I really don't want to see that and know that it's like in the inside of my hat. I don't know, I just don't want to see it. Okay. And then for our main piece, our main lining, we're going to match up those seam allowances from the brim to the headband of the hat. So match those up first with the smallest circumference of the brim to the largest circumference of the headband part, if that makes sense. So they should match up nicely. Match them up at the notches. That's why we cut in those notches. Those were very important. And then do all 4 notches first, and then you can go around and distribute the rest of the spaces later, or after you do the notches first, basically. And then we're going to sew that all the way around. We're going to do the same thing with the lining pieces and the other brim that we had cut off, the other white brim that we cut off. Now that we have our outer lining together, we see that there is a little bit of puckering up at the top of the cap, and so we need to handle that expeditiously. We're going to make some slits. These scissors aren't as sharp as I need them to be, so I am going to go in and make slits instead of triangles. Triangles like help ease the seam allowance better so it doesn't pucker when it, folds over. Trick of the trade. But I don't have the sharpest scissors, so I'm just going to make little slits, and they allow for some room so it doesn't pucker too much. Now you have a nice round top of your hat. Next, we are going to add our lining brim to our main brim. So at the seams that we sewed our brims together, we're going to pin those there first, right side to right side. Make sure you choose a right side and a right side. And we're going to go around and basically sandwich that in together. So the lining piece, I know, is the same as the main outside piece, but it's going to go on right sides to right sides kissing. So then we can sew it together right at the edge of that brim. So then we'll turn it over, we'll turn it around, and we won't even see that it was connected like that, like it's all one piece. So we're going to take that to the sewing machine. I hope this is making sense. I really am bad at this, but make sure that your seams are laid down flat as you go around, and just take that all the way around the whole length of the brim, and then when you fold it over, it will look seamless like it was supposed to be there. And so that's how we do that one, right? Then we're gonna add our little cute little top hat. And before we add that, we're gonna take it to the ironing board. My ironing board is on my bed. I got a mini ironing board and an iron that my flatmates were using, and because I did not need to get another one because this one works perfectly fine. And just use the little mini ironing board, place the hat on top, and just iron it as usual. You got to make do. When you don't have everything you need, you got to make do, okay? And so we're going to put our lining hat part, sandwich that in around the top of the hat. So we're going to match up the seams first, right side to right side's kissing, if that makes sense. And then we're gonna encase the white part of the hat into the lining. So we're gonna find those notches from the brim that we just attached to the hat. Find those notches first and then pin those. And then once you pin them all the way around, you'll have the main hat that's like stuffed inside the right part, the right side of the lining, if that makes sense. So when we're pinning all the way around, we're gonna get all 4 of those notches, but we're gonna leave a little space because we're gonna have to turn this inside out. All sides that are outside that you were seeing are the wrong sides. Those are the sides we don't want to see. So we are going to turn it inside out after we sew it down. So make sure you leave a space before you end your stitch when you're sewing all the way around. So we're going to sew this all the way around, leaving like, I don't know, a third top stitch. I don't know. I just go by the side of my presser foot. I don't really use the seam allowance sometimes, so whatever feels right. And that's the smallest one that I use anyway. So when we're going all the way around, we're going to make sure we stop right at the pin that we use to indicate that this is going to be my last point to where I stop and leave a space. You want to leave a big enough space so that you can pull your hat all the way through. Like pull it through. Because if it's not big enough, then you're going to be struggling. You have to take out those stitches, just a few, and then be able to do it. So now you can see that it's coming along, okay? So we pulled the hat out of the hat, literally. And now we have to close up that gap that we just made. And so just fold in those 2 gap pieces and pin those down. Make sure it's like as nice and flush and flat as it possibly can. And then we're going to sew that right on the edge, like the closest to the edge you can possibly get. That's where we're going to sew it. And it's just going to be that open gap that we use. Not all the way around, just that open gap, just to close it up. And it's going to be on the inside so you won't see it at all. Like this is the best way I think that you can see that you can do this and turn it inside out without actually having to see it. But that's what it looks like from the inside, but you're not even going to tell. So it is time to do the brim of the hat. So for the brim, I'm going to make sure that I press down the seam that had that brim seam all the way together. Press it down like real flat, so then it's a lot easier just to go over it. We're going to sew like almost right on the edge of the brim, and we're going to do like 3 or 4 stitches along the brim, just to have that bucket hat feel. They always have like the circle stitches around the brim, and so we're just gonna do that. I did 2 more of them. I didn't do too many. It's a small hat, a small brim, but this is what it looks like from the inside. Nice and neat, and you can barely see where we closed that gap, which is perfect. And then this is how it comes out. I told you this was so simple and easy, and it's just like a cute little accessory. Like it's not bold, it's just like really simple, really easy. You can do this for your kids, you can do this for whoever. Just get the right size hat. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.